There are times when you don't want to just send one email, but you have a series of related emails that you want to send out. And that's what we're going to take a look at today in FluentCRM. We're going to take a look at email sequences, what they are, how to use them, and why you may want to use them. Hi, my name is William Beam. I am a small business person just like you. Let's go ahead and take a look inside of FluentCRM and we'll talk more about email sequences. Okay, I'm on the dashboard. We can get to email sequences a couple of ways. If we come over here to emails, you can see email sequences. There's also some quick links over here, so let's click on email sequences. And of course, on the WordPress dashboard, you can see email sequences as well. So I've got one here that I created a while back. We'll take a quick look at that. I just click on this and it opens up. And you can see that I have 3 different emails, all part of the same sequence. The idea of a sequence is if you want to drip something out. So for example, you may have a sequence when someone subscribes and gets a freebie from you. I usually break that out into 2 different sequences. One would be a nurture sequence to help them unpack the value of the free resource that they just got. And that would lead into a welcome sequence, which in turn would tell them more about either me, the business, or what we can do for them. And then from there, I would probably bring them into my weekly email digest or any offers that come up. So that's kind of the purpose of email sequences. You may also want to use them, perhaps if you have people that are not engaging inside of your system, then you can identify people who haven't opened emails, and then maybe you send them a sequence of emails designed to get them re-engaged with you. Or perhaps if they don't engage with that, then you say, okay, I'm going to clear you off of my subscriber list. There are a number of reasons for sequences. Sequences also work very well with automations. We're not going to talk about automations so much today. I just kind of want to go over the sequences, and then we'll use those in a future video on automations as a component that you can use. So let me go back, and why don't we start off with a new sequence. So in this case, I'm going to come over here to create new sequence, and I'm going to call this one Nurture. And this is for an ebook that I have. And that's it. You created a sequence. There's nothing in it. You can't do a thing with it, but let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you want to do is add a sequence email. So this looks very familiar. If you've seen my previous video on email campaigns, this is the same editor. You can still use the template. So if I click over here and I've got my test template, I can go ahead and import this. So your sequences can have the same look and feel as your other emails, or you can give them a completely different look and feel if you somehow want to differentiate them from your regular content or weekly digest or whatever you want to do. So what I typically do, if I have a sequence, I come over to Google Docs and I will come up with a series of emails that I write. So it's easier for me. I can just go ahead and grab my headline. I'll copy that. I'll paste this in here. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste all of this. And I'm not going to do this necessarily to make you wait and watch what's going on with every single one that I have. Right here, we'll paste this in. And then I'll come over here, and I don't need to replace this because I've already got it inside of my template. And then I could go ahead and clean this up, and there are some things in here. I might want to make some bullets out of some of these things. I might want to make some headlines out of some of these things. But since we're not going to worry about that, that's basically my first email. Now I have choices. I can delay how long, when someone gets a trigger to start this, how long will I delay them? You can click over here. You can say you can delay them for a few minutes, days, weeks, or months. Usually when I tag somebody or somehow initiate them into a sequence, I want them to start right away. But you can also change the time range. So for example, if you only want people to be able to set or receive emails within a certain time frame, maybe it's only between 8 and 5, on work days. So you can set your time range here, and you can enable this for specific days. Maybe you only want them to receive their emails on Wednesday for whatever you're dripping out. So that way, they go out weekly. But there's more to it than that. This delay over here can also specify how far apart they are. So let's say that you've got this set they can have it every day of the week except for weekends. If you click on this and increase this, this will wait from the time that they first get added to it. So that's why I like the first one to go off on 0. As soon as they get added, I want them to go in there. And I can send a test email. I'm going to skip that for right now. And we're just going to go ahead and click Save. Now that I've done that, I can go back to my sequence. There's a button right up here, Back to Sequence. And you see that I have my first email right here. I'll click Add Another Sequence. I want them to receive this 2 days after they receive the previous one. And that works on the second one when I say 2 days. But what I want you to keep in mind is that this is the number of days that the email will be triggered from the starting date. In other words, it's not since the last email. So when they were triggered, that tag, or when I added them to a sequence, whatever the trigger was, that is a starting time. And this delay for every email that you do is from that point, not from the previous email sequence. So we're going to save this, and we're going to go back to the sequence. So let's say this started on Monday. That's great. This will go out on Monday. This goes out 2 days later on Wednesday. We'll add one more. So now if I want this to go 2 days after the prior one, I actually need to add 4 days in here. Here's my dummy text. I'll click Save. And we'll go back to sequence. So notice how this keeps adding up. If I did another one and I wanted it to go another 2 days, then it would be 6 days after the start. So that's kind of how I need to make sure I understand that when I'm adding the time in here, it's not between emails. It's not 2 days after the last email. It is still after the start. And that's a mistake I made when I first set this up. I said wait 2 days, and then the next one wait 2 days. So what happened is my first one went out right away, and then all of my other emails went out 2 days later because I set each of them for 2 days, thinking that they would go after the previous email. That's not the way FluentCRM works. It has to go from the start. So where do we actually start with this? Well, let's go back over here to this nurture sequence and click on View Subscribers. You can see that we have nobody in here. There are a couple of ways that you can put people into your list. So if you want to add somebody based upon a tag, you can do this, and everybody who has that tag now will get added to the list. What happens when somebody gets added to that tag later on? Well, it probably won't do anything. I think the best way to do it is not by adding to the sequence this way. To me, this is kind of like in the current state. So if they're already in there, you can add them, and that will work out nicely. But as new people come in, you really want to do this with an automation and probably a tag. So if we click on Automations, we can create a new automation. And we're going to click on CRM. That stands for FluentCRM. And maybe Tag Applied. So we'll go ahead to, and it's going to want to know which tag. I've only got one here, so test tag. So in other words, anytime someone gets test tag applied to them, from the time I create this, they'll be sent in. What about the people who already have test tag applied? They won't, because this automation was created after they've already received their test tag. So if you've got people with a tag, you'll want to use the previous method that I mentioned. Go ahead and just apply them as subscribers because they have that tag. If you want future people to come in, get the tag applied, and then kick off, that's when you go ahead and start an automation. Now, once you have your automation running, I want you to notice that we have some criteria over here. You can see that how many were sent, the percentage that were open, the percentage that were clicked. And if anybody unsubscribed based on one of your emails, you can see that over here as well too. That's very handy because if you have an email in your sequence and you find out that a lot of people are dropping off there, you either want to change or remove that email from your sequence. Something about it is turning your audience off. So how many emails should be in your sequence? As many as you need, no more than you need. It's one of those things that you'll know you need to break them down into bite-sized chunks that help your audience. Maybe it helps them achieve some goal. Maybe it teaches them something. Maybe it directs them as part of a sales campaign. That's what you use sequences for, is to help transform your audience. They're going to start off in one place, and by the end of your sequence, they should know more and they should be able to make a transformation from where they were to where hopefully you want them to be. And if that helps them out, that's great. If that creates a sale for you, that's also great. And the idea is you don't want to send an email to anybody that they did not subscribe to receive. So when you send a sequence in here, think about your intent, but also think about your subscriber's intent. What do they want to see? What's going to help them? What's going to get them to click on that email, open it up, and then take action if you have a call to action inside of your email? Sometimes you don't have a call to action. I know everybody says you should always have a call to action, but the idea is you want to help your subscriber and you want to transform them. And you want to transform them. So sometimes a call to action in a specific email isn't the right thing to do. Maybe you just want to let them know something else is coming that helps fill in a blank that they don't know about. As I said, I use these for nurture sequences. So if someone has downloaded a freebie from me, I ask them questions. I help them understand the value of what they just got. So for example, if I have a freebie on portrait photography, there's different chapters in there. I'll go through each of the chapters saying, hey, did you see this? Did you know that you could do this? Whatever it may be, help them unpack the value of their freebie. From there, then I bring them into a welcome sequence. The welcome sequence kind of lets them know how I work, what the benefits of the site are, maybe some interesting resources they want to know about. And also, we'll talk about smart links in the future, but you can use these opportunities to put smart links inside of your emails. So if a person clicks a smart link, it does two things. One is it takes them to a web page where there's more information, hopefully, about the topic they want. Two, it adds them to a list or a tag so that you know more information. I kind of like to use smart links with tags to build profile information. Do they have an interest in this? If they clicked it, they have an interest. If they didn't click it, then I don't tag them with anything specific. So that's just a couple of ideas of how you can use email sequences inside of FluentCRM. Hey, I hope you liked this. If you did, please go ahead and click the like button. That tells YouTube that we're doing something right, and they will show this to more people. Subscribe if you haven't already. I will be doing more videos on FluentCRM and also some other topics that are helpful to small businesses. And click the little bell notification icon. That way you get notified the next time I put a video out. Thank you so much. We'll see you again in the next video.